Hello and welcome to the Akasia video that describes our cloud cost planning tool for IBM SoftLayer. Very quickly, the typical uses of Akasia comes in during cloud migration planning and cloud assessment services. Akasia is quite popular among consultants as well as enterprises because Akasia shows cloud costs in minutes, which is very useful during pre-sales discussions. As well as in RFP responses, because the detailed Akasia cloud cost analysis gives customers the confidence to decide whether or not to move on with their migration or cloud DR projects. Cloud cost forecasting is complex and therefore slows down any cloud migration or DR projects. And this is because in the cloud, there's a variety of templates and several hidden charges that can often hold surprises. The way we solve the problem at Akasia is that we discover the on-prem workloads, their characteristics as well as usage, and then present recommended cloud templates in just minutes. So what you can do is get clear cloud cost insights in minutes. So we show you the data in chart form where you can see the costs that are on-prem for a set of workloads and what the cloud costs would be for Amazon, Azure, SoftLayer, or Google if you move those very same workloads with the exact same utilization in those various clouds. You can also drill down into any one particular cloud and take a look closer at the costs within that cloud. So on the right side, what you see is a drill down of SoftLayer, where we show you what are the prices in SoftLayer public node as well as private node. An additional drill down is the cost savings from right sizing. And we'll show you a demo of right sizing later, but essentially what it is were you to migrate only the used resources, then you would use a different set of templates as opposed to if you were to migrate the fully allocated virtual machines. In this example, the customer is saving $262 from right sizing. How Akasia works is first we discover the on-prem workloads and we look at the resources allocated as well as actually used resources. In addition, we look at factors such as ingress, egress, I/O transactions, network bandwidth utilization, as well as storage allocated. And from all of that data, we deduce the on-prem costs as well as cloud costs. The next step would be to do right sizing and what-if analysis to further model costs for optimized workloads running in the cloud. The third step is the final step, where we present the closest equivalent cloud templates for optimal cost performance of your workload in SoftLayer. Here's a demo of the tool. The first thing you would do is log in. The second step would be to connect to your data source, which would be your local environment. And the way you discover your on-prem environment is by clicking on the configuration button here and then connecting to your local vCenter, and this is where you would enter the credentials. You can also import from a file. So this is in cases where your management console is not local to you. So you would run our remote collector and collect the data in a CSV file that you would then upload here. So there are two ways of ingesting your on-prem data. The next step would be to look at your assets. Here on the very top, you can see your host monthly cost that the tool has calculated, as well as your VM monthly cost. And what's highly important is your spare capacity. So as you can see, you have about over 65% spare capacity. And this is important to note because when you're doing cloud migrations or cloud assessments, you want to be careful not to migrate unused capacity to the cloud and then incur costs for resources that are not being consumed. The remainder of the screen here shows you details about the assets as they've been discovered. You can click on these tabs and look at the details of all the different items that become chargeable items in the cloud. You can also edit these to do what-if analysis if you insist that the usage will change in the cloud. You can look at the host systems that have been discovered as well as applications. We also do capacity and cost planning for applications to be migrated to the cloud. The next step would be to set the on-prem costs. And here you'd click on the on-prem cost button and then look at the data that the tool has already compiled for you. The tool puts together some default cost values, and then you can go in and edit all of those cost items by clicking the Apply Custom Cost button. And eventually what you will see is your host monthly cost and your VM monthly cost broken up into CapEx and OpEx. Now, once you've set your on-prem cost, the next step would be to do planning for the cloud. And here you can select from the different categories. You can pick virtual machines to model, or you can pick entire host systems to model. You can pick from cost centers or from operating systems. I'm going to pick a few virtual machines. I've selected the virtual machines that I want to model, and then I'll click on Generate Estimates. And as you can see, in just a few minutes, the tool calculated the cloud costs for these particular VMs. You can look at the details in this sheet. So for Amazon Reserved Instance, these are the templates that have been selected. You can change these templates. For On-Demand, these are the templates. For Azure, these. For SoftLayer Public and Private, it has picked these templates. You can do some what-if analysis and edit the template that has been picked if you think you want something different. Similarly for Google. The next step would be to right-size the environment. This is the right-sizing screen. And at the top here, you can see the difference between allocated versus consumed resources. So nearly 20 gigahertz of CPU cycles were allocated, only 5 were used. 21 gigs of memory were allocated, only 8 are used. All of storage is used. In the lower part of the screen, you can see the difference between one-to-one mapping and right-sized mapping, and you can see the difference in prices for the various different clouds. What you can also do is go into each of the clouds and look at the details of the templates that were picked for one-to-one mapping or right-sized mapping. In this case, you can see that for one-to-one for this particular VM, the tool picked Core 1 RAM 12 disk 25, whereas if you're right-sized, you'd pick Core 1 RAM 1 disk 25. And the savings from that would be $98 per month. Similarly for the others. For this one in here, the tool is picking Core 1 RAM 6 disk 25 if it's fully allocated in the cloud, whereas if it's right-sized, you're picking Core 1 RAM 1 and disk 25, and therefore saving $48. This is right-sizing. The next step would be to pick advanced options. And here we have the convenience of allowing you to order various different items from the SoftLayer catalog directly from the Akasia tool. So you could order operating systems, perhaps this one. You can order additional storage, network services. Many of these items are actually free. So you can go ahead and order them. Insert the quantities you want. Go ahead and refresh cost, and automatically these items will be included in your cost analysis. Then you go into other costs, and this is where you would enter your one-time costs. That could be implementation or migration services. You would also enter your recurring other costs. This could be network access, or maybe you're bringing in an additional administrator. So you'd enter all of that here if you want it to be factored into your cost analysis. You can also leave this as 0 if you don't want to. Then you would go into summary costs, and this is where you see the total summary of the on-prem cost for these VMs, and then the costs in SoftLayer. So these are the VMs you're migrating. This is the selection summary. These are the on-prem CapEx and OpEx costs. This is the chart where you can look at the costs side by side. This is the on-prem cost. This is the one-time migration cost. This is the public node one-to-one cost. This is right size. This is the private node one-to-one cost, and this is right size private. You have all of the data here available in tabular form. Here you can see how much you're saving from migrating those VMs. And here, if you are providing a discount to your customers that applies all across the VMs, you can put that in here. You can also export the plan, and this saves all of our analysis so far into a spreadsheet that you can then include in any presentation or RFP responses. To summarize, the benefits from Akasia is that we let you proactively model costs of operating on-prem workloads in the cloud. So we prevent cost surprises that sometimes occur after you've migrated your workloads to the cloud. You can also right-size and save 30 to 60% of cloud costs, and you can do sophisticated what-if analysis to vary your characteristics of the workloads as you're moving them to the cloud. How Akasia is unique? We solve a very targeted cost-performance modeling problem that no one else solves. We give the most accurate cloud cost estimates by taking on-prem utilization into account and exposing hidden costs that often come back to bite you once you've moved to the cloud. We also provide these estimates in minutes, unlike other vendors who provide rough estimates in several weeks. Also, our costs are roughly 10 times lower than other vendors because we are a targeted solution. Finally, remember, Akasia is ideal for cloud migration and DR assessments, as well as for chargeback and showback. If you'd like more information, you can call the number on the screen or email us at info@akasiacloud.com. We also have a download available on IBM Marketplace, so download the product and try it out. You can also check us out on our main website at akasiacloud.com.